Most people believe financial stress disappears once income becomes high enough. But for millions of people, the stress never actually ends. Not after promotions, not after salary increases, not even after reaching levels of income they once dreamed about. Because financial stress is rarely caused by income alone. It is usually created by something much deeper. A financial structure that quietly consumes everything people earn. And most people never notice it happening until years of their life have already passed. Because modern society teaches people how to increase income, but almost never teaches them how to reduce financial dependence. And those are two completely different things. Some people earn more every year, yet feel more pressure every year. More bills, more obligations, more lifestyle maintenance, more things that now require money just to keep life feeling normal. And eventually, people stop chasing wealth. They start chasing relief. Financial stress rarely arrives suddenly. It builds slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. A slightly nicer apartment, a car upgrade, a few subscriptions, more dining out, a more expensive lifestyle that gradually becomes permanent. And none of these decisions feel dangerous individually. That is what makes the trap so powerful. Because lifestyle inflation never feels like destruction. It feels like progress. And over time, people unknowingly build a life that becomes extremely expensive to maintain. Not because they are irresponsible, but because modern culture constantly rewards visible consumption. Upgrade the phone, upgrade the car, upgrade the neighborhood, upgrade the appearance of success. And eventually, people become trapped inside lifestyles that require constant income just to survive, which means even high earners can feel financially fragile. Because when expenses rise with income, freedom never actually increases. Only dependency does. Many people assume financial peace begins at a certain income level. But reality often works differently. Because stress is not always connected to how much money enters your life. It is connected to how much pressure your life requires. A person earning $2,000 per month with low obligations can sometimes feel calmer than someone earning $15,000 per month while carrying massive financial pressure. Because financial stress is not just mathematical, it is psychological. The moment your lifestyle becomes too large, your freedom becomes smaller. And this is why many successful professionals quietly feel trapped. Not because they failed, but because their financial survival still depends entirely on continuous labor. If income slows, pressure immediately returns. Which means the system itself was never truly stable, because real financial stability is not created by income alone. It is created when life becomes less dependent on constant active earning. One of the biggest financial pressures in modern life comes from invisible comparison. People constantly absorb signals about how success is supposed to look. A better car, a larger home, luxury vacations, designer brands, expensive restaurants, and social media intensifies this pressure every day. Because people are no longer comparing themselves only to neighbors or co-workers. They are comparing themselves to carefully edited lifestyles online. And slowly, people begin spending money emotionally instead of intentionally. Not always to feel happy, sometimes simply to avoid feeling behind. And this creates a dangerous cycle, because every upgrade creates a new financial baseline, a new monthly obligation, a new standard to maintain. which means the temporary excitement of upgrading often becomes long-term financial pressure. And over time, many people stop controlling their lifestyle. Their lifestyle starts controlling them. One of the most dangerous financial illusions is the belief that the next income increase will finally create peace. But human psychology adapts very quickly. What once felt luxurious eventually starts feeling normal. And once something becomes normal, people begin protecting it emotionally. The expensive lifestyle, the upgraded comforts, the image of success, and slowly, maintenance replaces freedom. This is why some people become wealthier on paper, while becoming emotionally poorer internally. Because their nervous system never leaves survival mode. They simply upgrade the size of the pressure. And eventually, even success starts feeling exhausting. Because the goalpost keeps moving. More income, more upgrades, more expectations, more pressure to maintain everything. And for many people, that cycle continues for decades. The wealthy often understand something early that many people discover very late. Freedom is not about owning more things. It is about needing fewer things to feel secure. Because every recurring expense quietly takes ownership of future income. And the more obligations a person builds, the more future labor becomes required. This is why financially peaceful people often live below their actual means. Not because they lack money, but because they value control more than appearance. They understand that financial peace comes from flexibility, margin, ownership, and reduced dependence. Because true wealth is not simply the ability to spend, it is the ability to remain calm, even when income becomes uncertain. And that kind of peace cannot usually be purchased through consumption. It is built through structure. Real financial peace is usually built slowly, not dramatically. It often begins with very small decisions, spending slightly less than you earn, avoiding unnecessary obligations, reducing emotional purchases, building assets patiently over time, creating space between income and lifestyle. And while these decisions may appear simple, their long-term impact becomes enormous because every reduction in dependency creates more breathing room, more flexibility, more control over your future. And eventually, financial peace stops feeling theoretical. It becomes practical, quiet, stable, and sustainable. Because the goal is not simply to appear successful. The goal is to build a life that does not constantly require financial survival mode. And that usually happens through disciplined decisions repeated consistently across many years. Most people spend years trying to increase income without realizing they are simultaneously increasing dependence. And that is why financial stress survives, even inside higher lifestyles, because income alone was never the real goal. Freedom was. The ability to breathe calmly, to think clearly, to live without constant financial fear. And real freedom rarely comes from appearances. It usually comes quietly, through lower dependency, better financial structure, and disciplined long-term decisions, repeated consistently over time. Because escaping financial stress is not only about earning more, it is about needing less to finally feel free. If this changed the way you think about money, subscribe to Echelon Capital for more videos on wealth psychology, financial systems, and long-term financial freedom.